Guys, just the demo we're doing today used to be called the Fireman's Aquarium. It's invented by Krista Giselson. This one's a bit more sophisticated than Krista's unit. It's got automatic programs. It pumps artificial smoke in there. It does all sorts of interesting stuff. So I've had a look at this book about 10 minutes ago. So I don't claim to be an expert in this one here. So I'm really hoping the automatic modes are going to sing and dance for us, because I'm bluffing my way through basically. What we used to do with the original box, I'm going to do something similar. What I want to show you is what an explosion looks like at the lower flammable limit. So what this program should do, it should close the box up. It's going to pump in some LPG. So you've got, safe to approach. So we've got LPG coming through here, I think. Sean, yep. So that's a little gas pipe there. So the gas is coming in through there. There's a little stirrer over there to pre-mix the fuel and the air. And we've got an ignition source over here. So there's an arc across there that provides the ignition. There's also some other stuff here. There's a smoke port. There's describe that. It's a heat source there. You can actually do pyrolysis demonstrations as well. We won't get into that today. And there's all sorts of little furniture and stuff that goes in there to do a whole wide range of things. But as I've only had 10 minutes to look at the book, I'm going to leave all of those out. We're just going to go straight to the LEL demonstration. So if you could just fire that one up, Sean. So what will happen is, when it started, finish its warm up.
You can see the limit down here, the LEL right there.
Okay. So just have a look at that arc. As we get close to the flammable limit, you'll start to see the flame lengthening. So what's happening now is gas is being introduced. It's being stirred up, but we haven't reached the flammable concentration yet. Was that it? Okay, can we do it again? So that's percentage. So we've got a simulated time frame over here. On the right hand side, you've got percentage of LEL. So when it reaches 100%, that should be the lower explosive limit. So it's going to purge itself again. So what happens is, in the early stages, there's not enough fuel there. There's heaps of air, not enough fuel. So there's no ignition of it. As we start to get close to the range at which it will ignite, you'll start to see the fuel around that arc. You'll start to see a little bit of burning there, because there is fuel there. It's not self-sustaining, so you take the arc away, it goes out. But as it gets close to the LEL, when it becomes self-sustaining, you'll start to see the flame lengthen around that area there. That's the only indicator you've got that you're coming close to your flammable mixture. Okay, let's do it again. So there's your arc. As we start to build up a percentage, you'll start to see that arc will lengthen a little bit. The flame around the arc will lengthen. Getting close to 100%. Okay, that was it. So that's how much energy you get out of that percentage of mixture at the LEL. So it wasn't very particularly impressive. We'll start pushing the LPG in there with that ignition source. So it's going to build it up to the point where, hopefully, it is so rich that even when you turn that arc on, it will not ignite. And then it'll open up a door or a window, and you'll start to see the flammable range come back into within the range. So it's going to be too high, too rich to burn, allow ventilation, and it's going to come down from too rich to that upper flammable limit, and then it will ignite. So have a look at the different flame colours. We've got a fairly blue coloured flame at the LEL. Let's see what flame colour we get at the upper flammable limit. So the gas is being introduced. There's no stirring going on, so it's just pure LPG. It's not being pre-mixed. So we're well within the flammable range. If we push that ignition button now, it would ignite. So we've gone from the LEL well and truly into the flammable range. I don't know where we are now. Maybe we're getting close to the ideal mixture. Probably past the ideal mixture. We're going to move past the ideal mixture. I'm going to move right up to the upper flammable limit and go beyond that. And then the arc should come on. So when the arc comes on, have a look at the colour of the flame. Note the pressure that's developed. We've got explosion vents in the top of it to release the pressure. Okay, so we've got a fairly yellow coloured flame there. A little bit more pressure generated. See that flap was much more pressure noted at that sort of range. Well, that's it by itself, is it? Okay. So what we want to do now is we'll take it to the ideal mixture. Ideal mixture. Okay, which is F. Gonna step back a bit? Why is that? Is there a hint there? Okay, so you've seen just enough fuel. You've seen just enough air. So we've seen the extremes, the extreme ends of the flammability range. So what's going to do this time, when it's ready, is try to pick that sweet spot. So we've got the perfect mixture of air, the perfect mixture of gas. We should get a more powerful ignition. It should be a very sudden and powerful event. It'll also be a very short event. Okay, so here it goes. 25%. So when we get to 100 over there, we're at the lower flammable limit. And it's going to take it somewhere beyond that. I don't know what the figure will be, but it's calculated it's the ideal mixture. 160, 170, 180, 200. Okay, so massive difference, isn't there? Much more pressure developed. Yet it was a very short event. It wasn't a very sustained event. So what we might do now is the backdraft scenario. The impact of this is sort of lost in a room this big. I know the first time I saw this, it was Essex. So it's going to build it up to flammable concentrations, go beyond that. The arc should come on. It won't ignite. It will open the door, and that will allow the air in. We should get like a backdraft scenario from a door being opened. The first time I saw this was Essex. It was actually quite a small room. They had one door that opened inward and one door that opened outwards. And when we did the ideal mixture, it actually blew one door shut and blew the other one open quite forcefully.
Doors in the room, not in the box.
Yes, in the room itself. The first two ignitions did nothing. When we did ideal mixture, slam, whack, just blew it right open.
The guys in the factory say they can blow ceiling tiles off.
So if you're doing it inside, make sure you've got a door or a window open. Seriously, yeah. There's a whole range of instructions in here and safety stuff that we read through very thoroughly. There are lots of pictures. So it's about 5 times the LEL. And what you do with your students, you'd probably take note of the first 100% of LEL, which is the minimum concentration. You'd look at your rich scenario, take a note of the figure. Okay, so the door's been opened now. And look at the sustained event. So we've still got excess fuel in there. Look at the orangey, red coloured flames being developed. It's going on and on and on. It's still going, still going. So the backdraft is a more sustained event because when we opened up that door, it was very lean, it was too lean down the bottom, it was too rich at the top. It's that interface in between, that's the only part that can burn, where it's pre-mixing. And once it started burning, there was expansion, so it blocked off the opening, but then it drew some more in and it blocked the opening off again, so it had to draw air in and out before it consumed all that fuel in there. It purges, it sort of gets the temperature back to normal. If you're doing it in the manual mode, each time you do one of these, the box gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And if you're doing ideal mixture type experiments, it can get really powerful. So I think I got up to about, was it 500 or 600% of LEL last time? When you're doing this instruction, have a whiteboard or butcher's paper and actually write those figures up there so the guys sort of get a bit of an idea where they are in the flammable range. So we're into it now, we're over 100.
Try not to. Or it cracks out the ideal.
So what will happen once it's well above the upper flammable limit, it's going to open up one of these flaps. The arc will kick in, so we've got ignition source down there, but we don't have enough air. So the ignition will occur when we get the air down to that pre-mix zone. So there's our ventilation. Ventilation crew's got an operation. See the dark coloured smoke coming up around the igniter? There's flaming combustion occurring there, but it's still very, very rich. It's only sustaining because of that arc, like very powerful arc. Once again, a sustained event. It's very, very fuel rich. It's going to take time for that air to get in, form a mixture, goes on and on. Still burning. There's no more fuel being introduced. In a real scenario, of course, that heat would trigger further fuel release. So I think it's all over now. So that went on for several seconds. Oh, it's still going, look.
Well, it's still within the LEL.
There you go, yep, good point. So you can see with the roof ventilation, it's taking a lot longer, isn't it, to get fuel and air mixtures that can actually burn. So we're still on the danger range, aren't we? Just look at that arc. When you see that flame lengthening, that's a bit of a hint. There's a mixture's getting pretty close to being flammable. Did you see that darker smoke being produced after the roof was opened up? That arc was in there. There was a little bit of flaming combustion occurring just at that area there. It couldn't propagate through the mixture because it was too rich. You know, with the manual modes, you could experiment. You could probably open up that side door now to see what impact that had on the duration of the event. There's a whole range of things you can do. Okay, so it's below the LEL now. The LEL, UFL. So fuel's building up, no ignition source at the moment, no ventilation at all. And so Sean, I believe what does it open the roof first or the door first or both together? Okay. So we've seen what happens with the door, we've seen what happens with the roof, let's see what happens when we do both together. Do you think it's going to be a more sustained event, a shorter event or a more powerful event? What do you think? I think it's going to be shorter, yeah, more powerful, because you get a flow path, won't you? It'll be much more efficient. So about 400% of LEL. Just watch that arc area. Once the vent's open, there we go. So we've got the arc. Obviously it's arced up now before the ventilation. So we have an ignition source in there already. Right, door first. Okay. It's burning. Yeah. Okay, now it's open. It's still 400% of LEL, so we've still got fuel there. Got a flow path happening now.
think it's just, I don't think anymore.
Yeah, but there's potential there, isn't there? We've got a flammable mixture, we've got a potentially flammable mixture, but obviously not in the area where the arc is. Okay, that's all over. Let's just try the flashover one, Sean. I think 1:15 is our scheduled time, Jeff, isn't it? 1:15 is our target time for group number 1.
We talked about it, right?
Okay,
Already?
yep.
But I think that one is very instructive for the LEL.
Okay, great. Is that like a manual operation?
Yeah.
Mm.
I haven't played with it, so
Yep, yep.
I haven't broken it though either.
Don't go there. Don't go there. So this is the flashover scenario. So interesting to see what point it'll open up. 200% of LEL. It's drawing a bit of a long bow, trying to relate this back to flashover and backdraft. There's some similarities there, but I find it's most valuable just to get people understanding, thinking about what an LEL event looks like and a UFL, or upper flammable limit event looks like. And how powerful the ideal mixture is when you get the pre-mixing. Now with your backdraft scenario, that stirrer's not working, so you don't have pre-mixing occurring. With your fire gas ignition scenario, you've got your pre-mixing occurring. So diffusion flames, pre-mix flames, very different the way they behave. Okay, so we've got our fire source. Okay. Okay, a bit of a long bow there, but there's some benefit in it. So guys, we might leave it at that. Some more research and training required for that one, but it's a very useful tool for flammability ranges.